Mansions, yachts, cars worth more than entire homes. They say it all came from sports betting. But the truth behind those fortunes was never caught on camera. Today, you'll hear the true story of a man who discovered how the system really works and the price he paid for knowing too much. For years, they sold us the image of the sports genius, the person who just feels the game, predicts the outcome, and wins because of pure instinct. But what if that whole story was never real? What if the true secret had nothing to do with a passion for the sport and everything to do with understanding how information travels ... and how even the most advanced systems can sometimes fail? It all started with a simple question from a close friend of mine. He would watch a game and ask, how do betting houses know so quickly when a goal is scored? If I'm sitting right here in the stadium, wouldn't I know first? It was a simple doubt that quickly turned into an obsession. Back in 2012, he started studying what the Europeans were calling sports trading. It was a new concept back then, people online claiming they made a living from betting exchanges. He spent 2 full years learning the ropes, winning some, losing more, winning again, but always ending each month in the red. He was on the verge of quitting. I remembered him saying, "Time is money, and I've lost both." He felt like he was chasing a ghost. Then, one random night, something strange happened. He was watching a women's match on TV, a game with a lot of goals. But he noticed the betting market stayed open way longer than they should have. On a whim, he placed a bet asterisk after asterisk a goal had already been scored. And to his shock, it went through. For the very first time, he made real money, not from predicting the future, but from what seemed like an impossible situation, a system flaw. This single event opened up a whole new world. He realized that the key wasn't about being a better sports analyst. It was about understanding the technology behind the odds. Few people actually know how this system works. In most professional matches, there are scouts positioned inside the stadium, real people who report every single play to specialized data agencies. These agencies then feed that information directly into the betting platforms. Think about it. An entire global industry relies on a few individuals sitting in the stands, tapping buttons on a device. The big, important matches will even have 2 scouts to cross-check the data. If their reports don't match up, the market is immediately suspended. And then there's something called the bet delay. It's that short pause, usually around 5 seconds, between the moment you click to place a bet and the moment the system actually confirms it. Sometimes it's longer if there's a bad signal. This delay is specifically designed to protect the house from people who might have faster information. It's their shield. But he discovered that even the most sophisticated systems, the most robust shields, can lag. They can break. So he started going to stadiums himself, not just to watch the games, but to find these scouts. He wanted to understand the human element in this massive technological machine. And what he found was fascinating. Most of the scouts didn't even know who they really worked for. Some thought they were collecting data for sports statistics websites. They were cogs in a massive, invisible system with no clear face behind it. He was no longer just a bettor. He was an investigator, pulling back the curtain on a multi-billion-dollar industry built on the speed of information. He was starting to see the cracks in the foundation, the tiny gaps where a fortune could be made or lost in a split second. And that's where the real story begins. He wasn't just exploiting a glitch anymore. He was stepping into a gray area, a world of high-speed data, anonymous scouts, and powerful companies who would do anything to protect their system. What he learned next would change everything, and that's exactly what I'm going to tell you about right after this. Then it happened again, another delayed game, another win. He realized that if he could just identify which matches were delayed asterisk before asterisk they started, he could repeat this success over and over. But how could he possibly know? The answer, surprisingly, came from the referee's whistle. He noticed that if a game started live on TV, but the betting market for it opened just a few seconds later, that was his tell. There was a delay. He started meticulously timing this difference, comparing it to the betting system's own internal bet delay, and soon he began recognizing patterns. Each new discovery felt like he was slowly unlocking the secrets of a vast, complex machine. He expanded his operation, tracking games from all over the globe: Europe, Asia, the Americas. He watched everything: women's leagues, youth tournaments, obscure lower divisions. He figured out that for these smaller matches, where official scouts often didn't show up, the games were being managed remotely, using television feeds. And if that remote TV feed was even slightly slower than the one he was watching, the entire betting system lagged behind. He knew the betting companies were contractually obligated to cover every single match, so they had no choice but to keep the markets open, leaving themselves completely exposed to someone like him. He became obsessed, a man possessed by the concept of delay. His life revolved around measuring it. He compared different signals. He counted seconds. He analyzed every possible source of a broadcast. He eventually discovered the Holy Grail, the raw feed. The signal coming directly from the satellite truck at the stadium was pure, unadulterated, and most importantly, faster than any polished TV broadcast. He spent years trying to figure out how to intercept that raw signal, until one day he finally did. He constructed what he poetically called the Garden of Antennas, a collection of 15 satellite dishes, each pointing towards a different part of the world. From this command center, he could monitor dozens of matches at the same time, a god of the airwaves. His life became a relentless cycle. He'd sleep for 2 hours at a time, wake up to watch a match in Japan, then go back to bed before his alarm went off for a game in Brazil. He had no social life, no rest, no days off. Eventually, the strain became too much and his marriage ended. But the money just kept piling up. And with it grew this intoxicating feeling that he was living outside of normal rules, in a reality he had built for himself. The strangest part? The betting companies never called. They never canceled his bets or flagged his account. He used to say, "They make so much money from so many people. They don't even care about the few of us who actually understand the system." And looking at his bank account, it was hard to argue he was wrong. This was just the beginning of his journey into mastering the system, a story of obsession, genius, and a whole lot of money. There's so much more to how he perfected his craft and the consequences that came with it. And that's exactly what I'm going to tell you about in the next video. You've probably heard those stories, right? The so-called famous bettors who talk in interviews and books about traveling all over Europe, watching games in person. They claim they needed to feel the atmosphere or read the field up close. But let's be real. For anyone who actually understands how this world works, that story is a complete fantasy. Think about it. Why would you spend days traveling across a continent just to watch a single game, when you could be sitting at home monitoring dozens of matches happening all over the globe at the same time? It just doesn't add up. The truth is, that romantic image of the globe-trotting gambler was just a cover story. It was a clever distraction from what was really going on behind the scenes, from the one thing that truly mattered: controlling the flow of information. He always used to say that the betting houses made two fundamental mistakes. Their first mistake was allowing a delay to exist in their systems in the first place. The second, and perhaps bigger mistake, was not canceling the bets after they realized an error had occurred. See, once a transaction is accepted and your payment goes through, the mistake becomes a house's responsibility. It's the same principle as when a supermarket puts the wrong price tag on a shelf. You pay the price you see, and if they made a mistake, well, that's on them. They have to honor it. He understood this rule inside and out and used it to his advantage. As he got deeper into this, he realized that a lot of his time was being wasted, manually clicking between multiple browser windows, trying to place bets on different platforms simultaneously. Every single second counted, and he was losing precious moments. The human element was too slow. So he decided to level up. He commissioned a custom-built tool, a piece of software designed for one simple purpose: a multi-clicker. It sounds complex, but the concept was beautifully simple and incredibly precise. The software would record a sequence of his clicks, and then perfectly replicate that exact sequence across several different windows automatically. That's it. No complicated algorithms, just recording and replaying clicks with machine-like precision. Developing this tool cost him a small fortune, but it was worth every penny because it worked flawlessly. With this automation on his side, he became faster than ever before. He could trigger actions across multiple screens in mere fractions of a second, far faster than any human could ever hope to react. But this incredible speed came with a dark side. It became an addiction. He stopped sleeping, he stopped eating properly. The thrill of the chase, the intellectual curiosity that had started this entire journey, slowly morphed into a relentless dependency. He wasn't just chasing money anymore. He was addicted to the feeling of being one step ahead of everyone else. And then, one day, he just stopped. It wasn't because he ran out of money or because the system finally caught up to him. He had plenty of money. He stopped because his peace of mind was completely gone. The constant pressure, the sleepless nights, the obsession, it had all taken its toll. As he put it, he felt like he already knew too much about how the world really worked behind the curtain, and the personal cost of that knowledge had become far higher than any financial reward he could ever gain. The game was no longer worth playing. This story isn't just about betting. It's about information, technology, and the human cost of obsession. And what he learned in the process, the specific vulnerabilities he uncovered, is exactly what I'm going to break down for you next. So stick around. Was it illegal? Absolutely not. Was it immoral? Well, that's a question for another day. But one thing is certain. It wasn't illegal. He never hacked into a single system. He didn't forge any data or manipulate outcomes. He simply placed bets on markets that were wide open and available to anyone. The betting houses themselves confirmed these markets. If they chose not to cancel the bets, the responsibility was theirs, and theirs alone. Think about it this way. You walk into a store, and an item has the wrong price tag. You take it to the checkout and pay the price that's displayed. Who's really at fault in that situation? Is it you for paying the advertised price, or the store for its mistake? It's a simple principle of taking advantage of what's presented to you. He saw an opportunity, a flaw in the system that others overlooked, and he acted on it. For years, this story remained a closely guarded secret. But now, he's decided to tell everything. Why? Not to teach you how to do it. Not to brag about his winnings or paint himself as some kind of genius. His goal is much simpler. To document what really happened. He wants to set the record straight and share the unfiltered truth. Because let's be honest, while countless people talk about understanding the game, very, very few have ever truly understood the system that operates behind it. They see the surface, the players, the odds. But he saw the mechanics, the delays, the invisible threads connecting everything. He didn't just play the game. He analyzed the entire machine. The full, unvarnished story is now available in an ebook. And it comes with something extra, the very same software he once used, the one he called multi-click. This isn't some magic button for instant riches. It's a simple automation program, a tool he invested a significant amount of time and money to build. It's now available for those who are genuinely curious to see how it works. To peek behind the curtain and understand the logic he employed. Let me be crystal clear. This is not a shortcut to wealth. There are no promises of easy money here. This is simply the story of a man who uncovered what everyone else ignored. It's the true story of someone who saw what others couldn't, a tale about timing, technology, and the critical choices we make. More than anything, it's a story about understanding systems, not just in betting, but in life. It's also about knowing when to walk away, when to stop. Because sometimes the biggest win is knowing you've proven your point, and it's time to move on. In the end, the greatest secret of all might not be hidden within the game itself. It might just be in those crucial, fleeting seconds between the final whistle and the decisive click. This is documentary content, not a tutorial. The use of any software provided is entirely at your own discretion and responsibility. The link to the ebook and the software is in the description below. This story is based on true events. Thank you so much for watching and for letting me share this incredible story with you. If you found this fascinating, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the systems that shape our world.